Good morning.
Good morning, teacher. How are you?
Hey, Holly. Very good. And you?
Everything is okay, teacher.
Great. So I'm gonna write down all of your names. We have assistance of Holly. I'm also trying to call. In 1 second.
Okay, teacher.
Okay. Oh no, it's just you and me, but that's fine. Don't worry about that. So as you know, Huli, today we have a CEPT session. The way we're gonna talk today about this topic is about how do you speak. So I'm gonna share my screen. Um, 1 second. My mouse is not working. Okay, got it. Great. Sorry for the delay. Now, um, when talking about the septal exam, we're talking about the four skills: reading, writing, speaking, and listening. When we speak, we're probably going to talk to a teacher from this university. Um, they ask you very simple questions like, what do you think about happiness? What do you think about love? Do you think education is good? And so on. So for this, I'm going to talk about rhetorical devices so that you know how to make your speech better. Also, before I forget, I need to record the session. All right. So rhetorical devices. Rhetorical devices make part of a branch of philosophy called rhetoric. And rhetoric is the art of speaking efficiently and also persuasively. So let's talk about what is rhetoric. Rhetoric is the art of speaking or writing effectively and or persuasively, persuade people. The term coined by the philosopher Aristotle, according to him, rhetoric is the ability in each particular case to see the available means of persuasion. That means you have an idea. I'm asking you about something. I'm asking you, what do you think about books? The idea that you have needs to be good enough to persuade me. If I don't like books, I'm expecting from you to change my outlook and make me think that books are good. He described three main forms. These are called also rhetorical proofs: ethos, logos, and pathos. In order to be a more effective writer and also speaker, you must understand how to use rhetoric and rhetorical devices to your advantage. That is just about it about the rhetoric. So let's start explaining each of them. So we have ethos. And Huli, I'd like you to read this slide for me.
Okay. Ethos, the source, creatively, the speaker's author's authority, and appeal to character, ethical appeal. We tend to believe people whom we respect. This respect may be automatic or it may be earned. One of the central problems of argumentations is to project an impression to the reader that you are someone worth listening to. In other words, marking yourself as author, inter, and authority on the subject of the paper, as well as someone who is likable and worthy of respect.
Thank you. So, right there, you talk about ethos, and this is a word that pretty much sums it up. Credibility. Is that what you're telling me? Credible enough? You could be talking about the cure to cancer, which we don't have yet. And if you're credible enough, well, you're gonna portray your idea better because people are going to believe you and you're going to come across with a better persuasion. The point you're talking about is gonna be more persuasive. So it's important that you have some devices to be more credible. Keep in mind being credible. So this relates a lot uh, to your voice. If you're using the staircase intonation, which I talked about in the previous classes, like going up and down, you're gonna sound more confident and more credible. Instead, if you talk about like this, it sounds like you're making a question. So it's probably that you're not gonna sound very credible. So a lot of what you're gonna speak depends also a lot on how much of a confidence do you have while speaking. I have a video that's gonna explain better someone who's very credible and also um, we're gonna talk. Well, there's two chances of seeing this. One was I think in 2011 and the other was in 2020. He changed a lot his opinion, but he is still very credible. Let me open the link. Okay, I open it. Now I need to go back to the browser. All right. In the meantime, let me see if I am sharing my audio. Yeah, I'm gonna stop sharing and share again. Yeah, give me 1 second because I need to close some programs because it's not loading.
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
In Michigan, hundreds.
Okay, finally. I got it. We're gonna watch this video. It's about Tucker Carlson. He's a presenter from Fox News. Fox News is a very credible source of news in the United States. They tend to lean to the right. They are right source of news, as opposed to CNN, which is leaning towards the left. So they have this presenter called Tucker Carlson, which he has a lot of ethos. Whatever he speaks it with a lot of confidence. And right in this example, we're gonna see something he says about the United States in 2020 versus something he says about the United States in 2011. So I'm gonna play this for you.
People protested and managed to push inside the state capitol.
The pro-union protesters inside the Capitol building. This is America. We're allowed to disagree with what our leaders do however we like, and we're allowed to express that disagreement in public. That's our birthright. Yes, that's America. So with the left holding the democratic process hostage, what is next for Wisconsin? Michonne Maddock participated in today's protest. She joins us. Thank you for coming on tonight, and thank you for exercising your constitutionally protected rights as an American. Bless you.
Thank you.
Pro-union protesters scream like children. Why doesn't the left make its case, win the voters of Wisconsin to its side, rather than resorting to tactics that really are contemptible?
All right, that was the video. As you saw, he's talking about the protest that happened in 2011 and 2020. He has very radical views. In 2020, he says the protests are good, and in 2011, he says no, the protests are not good. However, he speaks confident enough to express that he is either opposing to that protest or agreeing with that. So Juli, what do you think he's doing to make his speech sound more confident?
Okay, so I think the new actors is probably confidence in his speaker. Maybe is maybe the text that the news that he explained or exposed is confident for him. Is maybe a lot of study. Is that's why the confidence the new actors is most is relevant, and I consider is like a nice, pleasant, agreeably person in his speech.
Oh, that's very new for me to hear. Very good that you say that. So, yeah, credibility is often carried by how nice you portray yourself. In this case, he also talks about this is America. And just by saying that, he's making a statement which sounds to be true. This is America. Everyone is allowed to protest, he says in 2020. Also in 2011, he says, this is America. We shouldn't be supposed to protest about this situation. So he contradicts himself, but he carries his point across because he's saying this is America as if it was true. This was his statement. So take that into consideration. Very good, Juli. Also, ethos. How do I earn authority? There are 4 similar dimensions to ethos. So similarity. Does your audience identify with you? Are you showing that you can be agreeable to your audience? Trustworthiness. Does your audience have a reason to trust you? Authority. Do you have the authority on your topic? How do you prove it to your audience? And reputation. How much expertise does your audience think about you have on your topic? Well, in the CEPT, you will probably encounter a teacher that doesn't know you. So you need to apply all of this in just one, let's call it the first date of you two. You need to portray that you have authority, that you know about the topic. The facts that you're telling me those are true. So trustworthiness and similarity. Whatever you say, I'm gonna feel related because you're showing that I can identify with you. And that is the ethos. So ethos, remember, is just credibility, being credible. It's probably the most important when we do the CEPT, carrying your point across. Many people worry about their accent, about their intonation, or their vocabulary. No, and at the end of this presentation, I'm going to be showing you someone who has a very strong accent, but who is a very good speaker. All right, now let's talk about logos. So logos, please read this slide for me, Juli.
Okay, logos, logical. The logic used to support a claim, induction and deduction, facts and statistics used to help support an argument. Persuading by the use of reasoning, statistics, facts, examples, reasons. Logos example.
Okay, so what do you think is logos about when we speak?
I think it's like a support in that you relate that you speech is about.
Very good. So making sense of what I say. And I make sense when I talk about statistics, about facts. Look, I know this, and the reason for that is because I have this example. So whenever I talk and I want to have an argument, I need to support my ideas with arguments. So logos is about that. Everything that you're gonna tell me has to be supported. And I also have an example about that. Let me open it. Okay, it's loading.
Este es un libro de gramática en inglés. Si quieres aprender inglés rápido, nunca debes estudiar reglas gramaticales. Pobre fluidez, mala gramática, traduciendo en tu cabeza, son resultados de estudiar.
That's just an advertisement. That's not the video. So give me one
Reglas
second.
gramaticales. Mi nombre es Caleán,
Yeah.
soy experto en aprendizaje de idiomas.
Guy's very famous.
Yes, this Cali appears in all videos.
Yeah, he pays a lot of money.
Yeah.
And in this example, we're gonna see Jordan Peterson, who's a psychologist, talking about Donald Trump's intelligence. Okay, let's play it.
What would you say Trump's IQ really is? Does 160 seem reasonable?
No.
This will be quoted in.
No, 160 is really, really high.
Yeah.
I mean, the typical, the smart person that you're likely to meet in your life has an IQ of around 145.
Yeah.
160 is getting pretty damn rare. And Trump's old, and IQ goes down with age, fluid IQ, although crystallized IQ either stays the same or goes up slightly. So he isn't the problem solver or the learner that he was when he was 20. No one is. If you're in good physical shape, that helps a lot. His IQ is clearly well above average. I don't know, and he's done complex things in his life, and a lot of them. And that indicates that there's something to him, you know, and he hasn't been successful just in one domain. He's been successful in multiple complex domains, each of which were quite difficult. It's very difficult to be a reality TV star that's successful, right? It's very difficult to work in the construction business, and especially on large projects. And I know he's had his economic ups and downs, but he stayed in the game for a long time, very stressful. He's very stress resistant. So he's no dummy. And I mean, it's nice to always think that your political opponent is just stupid, but he's done too many complex things for me to assume that he's somehow, if he wasn't smart, he couldn't have done those things.
Yeah, I'm glad you're acknowledging that, because when I see the people that are in hysteric mode and just saying he's this evil nutbag who doesn't know what he's doing and all this stuff, it just seems like such a lazy way of thinking about it. You don't have to like any of the things. You may not like the way he speaks or any of that, but the idea that somehow this is a dumb person, I think, is discounting of just the way humans have to work. This is interesting from Super Chat. Do you have
Well,
any...
he also won the presidency,
Right.
with a completely original campaign, and it's like, and without spending much money. It's like, okay, is he lucky? Because is that what you're saying? It's just lucky.
Right.
Well, I don't think it was just luck. It was at least maybe. Well, it looked at least to some degree like courage. Maybe it was just blind, throwing caution to the wind. You know, I don't know if he ever expected that he could possibly win.
Yeah, and as I'm sure you'd argue, it probably had a little something to do with all of those things, that maybe there was some courage, but that he also surrounded himself with people who maybe understood politics more than he did. Or
Well, he could obviously, he can also obviously read a crowd.
Yeah.
Because he was appealing to crowds. And that was partly because he did, I think, try to say what he thought. Now, you could criticize what he thought, and that's fine, but he also didn't prepare the same speech. You know, he didn't prepare a speech and then deliver the same one everywhere, which I think is, I really find that rather reprehensible for people to do that.
Yeah.
Because they're parroting themselves, or someone else writes their speeches, which is something I can't even imagine.
I can't, for what we do, I can't even fathom it, actually.
Okay, that was the video. So talking about logos.
We live in strange times.
Oh, give me 1 second.
The housing bubble burst, rise and the rise of inequality. Health is a very big deal. Taxes are
Keep running.
two groups have been left behind, but it's a complicated story.
It's just an advertisement.
Instead of saying,
Yeah. All right. So talking about logos. What do you think, Juli, was the argument carried by Jordan Peterson so that he made logic that Donald Trump is either intelligent or dumb?
I think that they say that Donald Trump is successful and economic. He's not dumb. He's simply leisure. Why is the one of the men say it like why is the president maybe lucky, and the logos for me is the support of his ideas, on argument his ideas in according the speech of the focus for the interview about president. Same speech and emphatic words that the president frequently use. Maybe he says some facts and some examples in order to explain the speech of the president. I think that.
That is perfect. So what are some of the claims that Jordan Peterson did to say, no, I think that the president is very intelligent? What was his argument?
I think he said that is like not too intelligent, but is most persuasive person. Is like he use in his speech frequently emphatic words like a tremendous or another is like a call attention for the people, and I think he said that for that reason. It's not for it could be so intelligent, not, but it's because it's like he's very like an intuitive person. It's like a political way that you should in order to convince the people.
Okay, very good. So his basic argument is that people discredit the president's intelligence, but he is successful in many domains. So he is doing some examples. He's doing some examples. Let me highlight this. Highlighter. Yeah. Examples right here. He's saying he's been successful in the construction area. He's been successful in politics. And he's been successful in economics. So that means he's probably intelligent. Also, he also mentioned some numbers. He was talking about the IQ, the intelligence coefficient. So he says, if you encounter someone who's 160 IQ, that's very rare. I don't think Donald Trump is 160. He's probably 120, which is intelligent, but it's not as much as a 160. So just by throwing some numbers in, you're being logical and you're using facts, examples, and reasons. So that was the example of logical. All right. Let's continue with pathos. Pathos. So Juli, please read me this slide.
Okay, pathos, persuading by appealing to the reader's emotions. Emotional appeals are one of the most powerful tools of persuasion. Specific words and or image choice, personal stories.
All right. So what do you think is the idea of pathos?
It's like when you use in your speech emotional emotion. You cause in another people emotions like feelings. When you it's probably that you use some words that or in his or her speech and use stories like in the is a important feelings or he bring important feelings in the people.
That's fantastic. It is fantastic that you say that it's exactly like that. You're producing me an emotion. You're talking me about something, and probably you want me, if you're making a joke, you want me to laugh. If you're talking about something sad, you want me to cry. If you're talking about something that you feel very heated about, you want to make me angry. The idea is that you want to transmit some kind of emotion. You want me to have some emotion while you talk. So that is pathos. When you talk, first, ethos. You need to be credible. Then, logic, logos. You need to use some examples and numbers. And finally, pathos. You want me to relate to whatever you're talking so that I have an emotion, because we're both humans and we have probably experienced the same things in love, death, crying. So use some of that, of your experiences, to be able to transmit me some kind of emotion. That is pathos. You said it very good. I liked it. I have an example of that. However, I'm not gonna use Google. No, this one I don't think is very good browser. I'm gonna use Google Chrome instead. Let me scroll down. Okay, pathos. This is a link. And I'm gonna open Google Chrome. I think it's gonna be better. Right, it's loading. Alright, now Google Chrome is actually worse than the browser Edge. So let's try with Edge again. Probably because I'm using so many programs. So let me close
Okay, there are
this.
no problems.
Thank you, Huli. Exit this. Yes, okay. So this video is gonna talk about pathos, making your speech emotional. We're gonna see two people talking about war. And I want you to tell me which of those two people that we're about to see has the most pathos. Oh, damn. Andres, what's his name? Okay, this load faster. So as I was saying, these are two soldiers, and I want you to see who has the most empathy, the most pathos. We're not gonna see the whole video.
We deployed in Iraq in 2006. We then deployed to Kosovo. From there, we then deployed to Afghanistan.
Well, you've been through quite a lot, son, haven't you?
Hi.
Hello, young man.
Nice to meet you.
How are you?
Pleasure. How you been? You okay?
Not so bad. Yourself?
On the spot.
On the spot.
There's a stack of them here, isn't there?
All right.
Which war did you fight in?
Second World War. My flotilla was the third flotilla, and there was 12 of us, and we took part in the North African campaign, and then we went on to the invasion of Sicily.
How long were you away for?
2 years. In them days, with a different war, you had to go where you were sent, and some lads went to North Africa and went right through and never got home till way after D-Day. The other wars that followed this.
Okay, right there, you notice some lads went to Africa right there and never went back home. Just because he's saying that, he's creating some kind of emotion, and I can relate to him. He's doing a lot of pathos right there. Let's continue.
It's an entirely different war than what ours was.
I think it goes through generations, doesn't it? It goes from one war to another.
It's frightening to see what happens to these modern wars. You're fighting an enemy you do not know where he is. For the start, like in our war, as long as you were going forward, you were going the right way. But you get in Afghanistan and that, he can come up behind you and you don't know he's there. And from my way of thinking, I wouldn't like to have fought in that war, I'll be honest with you.
See, that's where I think the two change, because I wouldn't like to fight in your war, because in my eyes, being on a ship...
It's probably safer on a ship, so I can't swim, so...
You can't swim? I thought you were a sailor.
And they never taught me, but where would you swim to? If you're a long way from home, it don't matter whether you could swim or not.
After training, I got to battalion, and then we deployed to Belize. Yeah. We went for 6 weeks in the jungle, training, and that was pre-training for Iraq. We deployed to Iraq in 2006. Yeah, 2006. That was a 6-month tour, turned into a 7-month tour, and we were deployed to Saddam's palace in Basra South, where we patrolled and did strike ops. After there, we come back. I went on to do my promotion. We then deployed to Kosovo. That was peacekeeping. And then from there, we then deployed to Afghanistan.
All right. Those were the two people talking. Now remember, we were talking about pathos, making empathy to your listener. So Juli, who do you think had the most empathy and why?
I think the most empathy is the older man. When he says his experience in war in Afghanistan, and both are a man that happen different situation in his life and in the war, and the younger man explained the situation in the war, maybe Afghanistan too, and the both men for me use different pathos. Maybe the way of the express his ideas, the music of the video is maybe maybe give different emotions and add different emotions in order to different people found that in that video. The emotional situation for when he attack in the war is many difficult for both person and the rest people of the world. Is a sensitive point that I consider is very emotional situation.
Very emotional, that's right. So war is also a very sensible topic. Of course, we're talking about death. However, as you notice, the old man, he first makes us feel sad. I had these friends, they went to Africa in the Second World War and they never came back. They probably had wives and families and so on. Hey, but I'm gonna also make you laugh. Look, I wouldn't like to be in your war because you're all the time in a ship and I don't know how to swim. And the other guys goes like, ha ha ha, that's right. I wouldn't like to be in your war either. So the old man makes me feel sad, makes me laugh. So there's a lot of emotion within his argument. And the idea is that when you take the septo, you take some of these devices into account. If you want to make your teacher laugh, that's going to give you points. If you want to talk about a sad experience that you had particularly in your life, that's going to add you a lot of points because that's helping you come across with your point. So you got it. You got it right. The highest pathos was carried from the old man, from the senior. Now, finally, the septo. The septo often asks you trivial questions. Trivial that, every day you hear about this stuff. And let's be honest, you're gonna be asked some stupid questions. Like, why is happiness important? Why is education good? So take them as an opportunity to be radical with your ideas. And some analogy that I make for this is that I don't know if you already work for a very big company, and while you're doing the interview, you probably need to take an exam. In this exam, they're going to ask you, how do you feel towards working with people from other races? Very comfortable, somewhat comfortable, neutral, not very comfortable, discomfortable, extremely uncomfortable. The idea in these interviews is that you need to pick either the highest, very, very comfortable, or very uncomfortable, because when you're applying for a job, they're looking for your critic ability. They don't want you to be neutral. The same happens with exams. When you were asked about something very trivial, they want you to take a very extreme side. So why is happiness important? You probably need to answer, I don't think happiness is important at all. I think that's a lie that we've been told for hundreds of years. Something like that. On the other hand, if you agree that happiness is important, well, I think happiness is extremely important. And people don't appreciate it as much as we should. For example, we have this and that, and so on. So keep in mind that being extreme. And also, if you're gonna be asked stupid questions, so take those stupid questions as an opportunity to create something good. Right here, I have an example. Why is happiness important? We can call it that a very trivial question. So I have Zizek, which is a philosopher, and he answers to that question. I want you to listen to that. It's a very short video, 42 seconds. Here comes the advertisement.
You know, happiness is for me a very conformist category. It doesn't enter the frame. You have a serious ideological deviation at the very beginning of famous Proclamation of Independence, you know, pursuit of happiness. If there is a point in psychoanalysis, it is that people do not really want or desire happiness. And I think it's good that it is like that. For example, let's be serious. When you are in a creative endeavor, in that wonderful fever, my God, I'm onto something, and so on, happiness doesn't enter it. You are ready to suffer. Sometimes scientists, I read history of quantum physics or earlier of radiation, were even ready to take into account the possibility that they will die because of some radiation and so on. You know, happiness is for me an unethical category. And also, we don't really want to get what we think that we want. The classical story that I like, the traditional male chauvinist scenario. I'm married to a wife, relations with her are cold, and I have a mistress. And all the time I dream, oh my God, if my wife were to disappear, I'm not a murderer, but let us say, drop me, it would open up new life for me with the mistress. You know what every psychoanalyst will tell you quite often happens? That then, for some reason, wife goes away, you lose the mistress also. You thought, this is all I want. When you have it there, you turn out that it was a much more complex situation where what you want is not really to live with the mistress, but to keep her as a distance, as an object of desire about which you dream. And this is not just an excessive situation. I claim that this is how things function. We don't really want what we think we desire.
Can you imagine if you come up with an answer like that to a CEPT exam? You will probably get the highest score possible. So remember that you're gonna be asked very simple questions, but as you saw in Zizek examples, he talks very, very polarly of this question. In this case, he thinks happiness is not important at all, and he has some arguments to that. So there's the idea. In conclusion, and to finalize this session, keep into consideration everything you're gonna talk about. If you want to make it good, you need to consider ethos, credibility, pathos, showing some kind of emotion, and logos. How logical is your argument, using examples and numbers. So Juli, that will be it for this session. Do you have any questions?
No, teacher. For me, it's no question. I think is the most important. Maybe have authority when you talk with another person. Your confidence is extremely important in your answers.
Exactly. Out of the three, pathos, logos, and ethos, credibility, being confident, and using a good tone is gonna be the most important during an exam. Good that you say that. All right, Juli. So I'm gonna leave you now. I hope you have a nice day. Take care. Goodbye.
Okay. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Bye bye.